Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. So today's video is going to be when to bug out during a pandemic, right? So obviously, you could bug out before a pandemic. You see something bad coming, you can absolutely leave. But you have to gauge that pandemic. You can't leave just because you hear another one coming your way. Granted, if it's very contagious and the fatality rate is high, then you could definitely take those two those two markers into consideration. Other markers to be concerned about, which are the main ones I want to talk about, are crime, right? Crime is another marker that's going to dictate whether or not you stay or leave. If crime is through the roof, it's time for you to leave. If cops stop coming into work, it's time for you to leave. If firemen stop coming into work, it's definitely time for you to leave. Because if you live in an apartment building like I do, and that shit catches fire, if you don't get it out before it spreads, the building's done, especially if there's no firemen around, right? That's going to be one of the bigger problems, right? Without cops, you can sort of defend yourself. I mean, here in New York City, you don't have that option because we don't have firearms, or it's hard to own firearms. Sorry, it's very hard to own firearms here in New York City. But at least you could still arm yourself with something. No firefighters, and the fire gets beyond, let's say, that apartment that it's in, forget about it. The city's gonna burn, right? So those are the two things I would be aware of. Cops, firemen not coming into work. The next marker to be considering is food. If supplies are extremely low, and when I mean extremely low, I mean you cannot, you go to the supermarket and there's nothing on the shelves, that's a problem. And when I mean nothing, I'm talking about nothing. I mean, every aisle you go in, there's nothing on the shelves. With this coronavirus, there was still food on the shelves, but it wasn't plentiful, but there was still food, and they were replenishing it. The trick to knowing the food situation is whether or not they're going to restock during the pandemic. So if they tell you some crazy shit like they're not getting deliveries for the next couple weeks, it's time for you to go. So in case you guys haven't figured it out, I'm doing a bug out walk. Obviously, I'm trying to drop weight, trying to get in better shape. So I got a 36-pound backpack on my back. It's the Ebola stock. So I have the Ebola stock on, walking through the city just because I need the weight. Now, some of you are thinking crime is going up, and that is absolutely true. Crime is going up, and that's that seems to be an ongoing problem right now, because every time I look at that Citizen app, the snitch app, someone's getting robbed. So somebody robs me today, they're gonna have a run for their money, because I got all my camera gear in here because I carry the shit for jobs and stuff. Anyway, the next thing to worry about with no cops, like I said, the crime issue is also a big one, right? So crime here in New York City is going up. I fear that's probably gonna go back to the 90s. Hopefully not back to the 80s or the 70s, because those were bad times, but crime's going up. Would I leave just yet? No. Crime has to get absolutely insanely bad for me to pack my family and leave. Insanely bad, right? Civil unrest, I see that coming. Fighting with the cops every fucking day. Every day, people are fighting with the cops. And I'm not talking about arguing. I'm not talking about, I hate you, fuck you, pig. I'm talking about fist fighting in the middle of the fucking street. Every day with cops. So civil unrest is on the rise, because somebody's gonna get fucking shot and the city's gonna burn. And even then, I still wouldn't leave, right? Because civil unrest is usually to a localized area of that city. It's usually never the whole city, the way the news and media makes it look. It's always just a part of the city that riots. Within some certain cases, I think, like, was it Crenshaw, Compton? The entire Compton burned, but that was back in the 70s, I think, or 60s. I don't think we would have that kind of a problem here in New York. But anyway, so crime is getting worse. I wouldn't bug out on that. Like I mentioned before, food would be the bigger issue for me to leave, because if there's no food coming in, then what, right? So it's time for me to go to my bug out location. That's going to dictate to you whether you leave. Your third marker, the one to be more concerned about, is the contagiousness of the virus and the fatality rate of that virus. If that virus is insanely contagious, then it's time for you to go. It's time for you to leave and take your family and go somewhere safer, away from people, that is, right? A city is obviously not the ideal condition that you want to be in, where a highly contagious virus is killing people at a higher fatality rate than the coronavirus. The coronavirus fatality rate is not that high. That's why I wasn't too worried. If that thing was entering the 20-25% range, then I'd be concerned, right? We're starting to see that people who are out of shape are the ones who are affected by this, right? And that, unfortunately, is in the black community, right? It's probably also a genetic thing, because there are plenty of out of shape white people. They're not dying. So there's got to be some kind of genetics behind this. But I'm not going to get into that. That's a discussion for another day. So bugging out, the one thing about bugging out of the city during a pandemic is there's no traffic, right? So if you bug out during a lockdown, you're in business. Where it becomes a problem is if they close off borders to states, right? So if they close down the bridges in New Jersey, I'm fucked, right? You have to read that sign. You have to read those signs coming. So what you have to avoid is conspiracy theories, right? You can't look at everything and go, holy shit, the government's doing this, that, and the third. Guys, conspiracy theories are great. I told you before, I love conspiracy theories, but we need a smoking gun. Angryprepper said it best. He said that we need to cut the shit with the conspiracy theories. We need to stop trying to fight a system that we are not going to win, right? It's that goddamn simple, guys. And he was right. When he said that, I was like, fuck, he's right. How the fuck are we gonna, even if we found out the truth, then what? Where do we go from there with whatever truth that we're trying to run? The only thing we can do is try to stop our freedoms from being taken away, which I'm starting to see some of it now. I see what people are talking about. I can say that I'm wrong with that. I do see these fucking politicians overreaching a bit and trying to strip our powers, but it's not, fucking 30 something Germany where Hitler's, trying to take our power. It's not that bad, but I do see overreaching government bullshit with vaccines, stay-at-home orders, mandatory mask wearing. I do see that. That is kind of bullshit. So I'm starting to agree with some of the people that are arguing or protesting about certain things. Not everything, not the stay-at-home order, but I am starting to see that. And the thing is, I saw that in the beginning, but I'm like, there's no way they're gonna fucking overreach with this, because this is not the virus you can take control. You can't take control with this shitty virus. Sorry. You need a higher fatality rate for the government system to take what they need. So back to the part where I was talking about bugging out. Assume we get locked down again. The virus is highly contagious. Fatality rates are a lot higher. If they don't lock down state borders, you have to have your vehicle in play. Your vehicle has to be up to par, right? So I've recently, because of this pandemic, been fixing everything about my shitty car. I'm hoping to get rid of it by the end of this year. Gonna look into something else, something more dependable, stronger. But for now, I gotta deal with this piece of shit, so I'm gonna fix it. Or I'm getting it fixed, sorry. And I got a lot fixed already during the pandemic. So I'm gonna continue to fix it, because that is my only vehicle out of the city, guys. And if everything stays the way it is, we're bugging out, it's gonna be easy. You're gonna get in the car, you're gonna go, all right? There was nothing stopping us to leave. So that was one of the things we got wrong about the pandemic. All right, so Monday night, I'm doing a live stream. And the live stream is gonna involve a lot of shit that's going on, guys. We got birds falling out of the sky. We have, what the hell's that called? They call it a sun lockdown, but it's a stupid fucking thing to call it. Solar minimum, or minimum solar, something like that, where the sun spot and the sun's power, if you will, is dying down. That's going to be an issue, because it's going to bring freezing temperatures, according to 2 articles I just read about. Now, Angryprepper, visit his YouTube channel. He spoke about that. I think it's called a winter solstice or something like that. But anyway, he spoke about that in his video, and I thought that was interesting. I'm like, that's a little bit far-fetched, but because, I trust his info, I'm like, I listened. So this morning I wake up and there's an article on this shit, right? And I'm like, holy shit, The guy fucking called it, right? He's been following it, obviously, but he called it. And they're seeing that as a concern, right? Then we got these murder hornets. Now this new Kawasaki-like inflammatory system or issue that's killing these kids, and only 3 kids have died. And I hate to say only because it sounds callous, but we're up to 110 in New York City, and there's other states that are starting to see this pop up right now. But with only 3 kids dead, assume more are gonna die. But let's just hope that fatality rate is low. Let's just hope these kids are fighting it off a lot better than adults did with COVID-19. So guys, bottom line, to bug out during a pandemic, you have to just keep track of the markets. You have to make sure things are not going awry. You got to make sure there's still food coming in. Again, once the supplies stop coming in, it's time for you to go. Listen, you could bug out anytime you want. It's entirely up to you. But if you're questioning when you should leave, you're like, I don't know, should I go? Should I stay? Well, take it from me, I'm not panicking on this one. If something worse comes along, if something is way more contagious and the fatality rate's way higher, get the fuck out of here. Because me, on my own, I could wait it out. I could obviously take the chance because that's me. But when you have family, when you have a wife and kids, when you have, friends and family that can't get sick, you got to take them into consideration, right? That's the biggest one, taking them into consideration. My parents did the right thing. They bugged out to Pennsylvania. They left. They were like, you know what, fuck this, we're gone, because they had 1 patient in the building. They had 1 patient in the building. They saw these people dressed up in PPE gear, and they were like, fuck it, and they left. They didn't wait for another one to pop up, and now they're in PA right now, and it's not actually a bug out home. It's my mother's apartment, if you will. They were moving out to PA before my father got sick, and when this shit hit, they were like, fuck it, they're out, right? So now they're there and they're doing good, as of now. My brother's watching them, so that's even better, right? So you got my brother, who's younger than me, watching them, so that's good. I don't have to worry about them. But for you, you have to take into consideration your family. You have to make sure that they don't get sick. And if you are like me, an essential worker, and you're out there and you're coming back to your family, you're exposing them every time you come back. So you have to keep that in consideration. You might want to have your family go to the bug out location, you stay behind. If that makes any sense. So guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching. You can like and subscribe to this channel. You can like and subscribe to my outdoor channel. I am having a live stream Monday night. I was going to do one tonight, but I got to plan it out. I'm going to have a live stream Monday night at 9, and we're going to discuss various things, because there's so much going on now. It seems like this is getting worse.